organization, is that right, or a group?
Well, I started up my own video channel 2.5 years ago when I started this whole journey called Finding Wendy, and I've been posting videos every week, and I've sort of run out of topics to talk about, so that's why I've moved over to Zoom to start interviewing people live and start chatting with other weight loss surgery patients live in a Zoom format, because people need to share their experiences and people need to share their frustrations of what's happening, especially now with the COVID-19 lockdown.
Yeah.
That we're seeing a lot of weight gain within the weight loss surgery community, the WLS community, and frustration of course, you know, my own discovery is that you do not lose weight from exercise, but you do gain a better partnership with exercise and healthy eating. And that the continuation of the healthy eating journey that I have been taking for the last 2 years keeps me on track when I do the exercise. So, for example, today I went on the scale and I actually gained 0.5 pound, yet I biked 14 kilometers yesterday. So it's not, you know, the myth of exercise helps you lose weight is a myth, because you lose weight from your eating habits and your healthy eating habits that are partnered. It's what I discovered, partnering with exercise, because the exercise will help you or remind you, oh, I just worked out. I shouldn't be eating this crap. I should just stay on track.
Yeah.
So, Rob, you lost over 100 pounds, Brian, you lost over 100 pounds several years ago. And have you had any regain? Have you been able to continue keeping that weight off?
Yeah, so I, like you, Wendy, I think, you know, each of us, when we are genetically capable, first of all, of gaining, you know, large amounts of weight, we go through our own process of identifying how we stay healthy. And I think that process for me has changed over time. When I was younger, it was more about the pounds, and I did diet more, and I did sort of I tried to maintain a different weight. Now in this part of my journey, I don't always concern myself with pounds. In fact, I don't weigh myself. So I may go up and down, but my barometer is my fitness level. So if I'm feeling my fitness level impacted by weight gain, which I'm always gaining and losing, I just have one of those bodies. If I feel like my fitness level is impacted, I have to pay more attention to it. You know, I have to. And sometimes just to let my brain relax on the subject, to think about something else, I try not to always think about that part of my body. So am I bigger? Am I smaller? What do I look like? You know, how am I being perceived? So to answer your question, I'm always up and down. But I've managed through fitness and nutrition to not do a dramatic weight gain, although it's fluctuated because it's been many years. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The fluctuating that I have now, I'm over the 2-year mark of my surgery, that the hit, that what is normally called in the bariatric world, the honeymoon is over and you've hit a wall, that my body has come to a grinding halt as far as, like, this is my weight that my body likes to be. So to lose more weight than I want, like I originally wanted to get into Wonderland, but I've been fighting this and I've only lost 10 pounds in a year. But most of my weight loss was in that first year, but the second year, very little weight loss. And so it's really the maintenance stage right now. And then you're constantly still following the proper eating habits, but also incorporating more exercise. Now, you know, my own history, that I had like hip replacement surgery 3 times on the same hip. So, so that has made it a more difficult struggle as far as exercise is concerned. But what I've done myself is try and find an exercise that I can do and I enjoy. And that for a lot of people is a key to find an enjoyment in a type of exercise. And that is a way to continually do the exercise on a regular basis. Do you find that, Rob?
Yeah, you should never feel like the exercise is a punishment. And because if it's a punishment, you're not going to stay consistent with it. You know, you're not going to do it 3 times a week. You're going to dread it. And then it's just not going to be a happy place. It should be a happy place for you. Whether or not, you know, sometimes I'll do it and I don't like it, but I'll enjoy the fact that I did it afterwards. And then that will make me appreciate the process of doing it more. But it has to first be something that you actually like doing. So for you, like you've really taken a bike riding recently, yeah?
Yes, yeah, I rode my bike yesterday and I'm really enjoying the bike riding. I'm really enjoying the fact that I'm able to keep my social distancing from everybody on the bike and that I'm trying to bike further and further every time. Yesterday was a struggle because it was very windy outside. So I only ended up biking 11 kilometers, but I'm trying to bike at least 15 kilometers each time. And the feeling you get, I'm discovering new neighborhoods in Toronto. I have my little, well, this is not a little speaker, but I have a giant speaker connected to my bike. And so I have my own music as I'm biking because the Ontario vehicle bylaw is you're not allowed to bike with headphones on. So so I just have my own speaker. So I'm kind of like a motorcycle rider with their own speakers, but I'm a bike rider with my own speaker and playing my own tunes. And I'm playing the same music that I would have played in my ears when I used to work out at Planet Fitness. So I associate the bike with working out. So working out music.
Mm-hmm.
That's very smart, Wendy. Yeah, anything you can do to reinforce that relationship with fitness is great. And I also want to say I agree with you 100% that, you know, exercise doesn't necessarily make one person gain weight. You know, there's a lot of fitness experts out there that say, walk your 10,000 steps a day and, you know, that's what you need to be healthy.
Yes.
Great, but that's not necessarily true for many people. But if you can, you know, do a little more physically, like for you, if you can bike a little further, if you can lift more weight, if you can walk, you know, let's say you walked around the block this week, and this week you walked twice around the block, then that it reinforces the relationship you have with your body and your health, and you pay more attention to
I lost my sound. I'm just going to have to put my headphones in just one sec because I don't know what happened. Let's see.
Is it better now? Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, there.
I was just saying how exercising, being able to do a little bit more each time you exercise or bike ride or walk, that reinforces the relationship with your body and makes you want to do more, which, and whether or not that helps you break through your wall or your plateau or to get into Wonderland, it's going to make you feel healthier and better, and it's going to make you feel confident and successful about it. And that's really what I think is the purpose of all this working out and fitness business is anyway. It's not about trying to look a certain way or to weigh a certain amount. It's to make you feel better about your life and let that percolate into other areas of your life as well. It's not just about weight, because how many of our thoughts about ourselves affect our thoughts about everything else in our lives? So that's where I think the power of fitness really comes in.
Well, what I've noticed myself, and you guys can talk about that too, is that the issue right now with COVID-19 lockdown is the mental breakdown that's happening with a lot of people now that we're getting into month 4, or month 3. It's March, April, May, June. Yeah, we're getting to month 4 of this lockdown. And that there, you know, even now with the violence that's happening across the border in the US, but the violence here as well, that you're seeing more and more tension in people. And the thing that I've noticed after my bike ride, when I do my exercise, is that I'm feeling so much better mental wise.
Yes. So there's so many themes in this conversation today, but just to bring it back to working out during COVID, and to answer your question, we need to make time to do that. And whatever that means for you is enough. So we've been in our home workouts. Rob and I are very used to being at the gym. So we're both fitness trainers. I'm a yoga teacher. We've had this experience with being able to work out, and in part it's to manage our mental state. Always, it's never just physical. It's always about that mental part that you're mentioning. So one of the things we've been doing at home is we've made groups to work out with through online meeting software. And that's really helped us stay committed. And that's helped us have a community that we both enjoy as fitness instructors that, has been part of our regular. One of the other things we've been doing, because there's a lack of equipment, is we've started to get creative with what's at home for us. What can we use that we can create exercise regimens through, or even be creative with chairs, or, I worked out with cat litter a couple weeks ago, So how can we get creative and keep exploring new things? You talked about exploring new neighborhoods on your bike. We need to keep exploring ideas and just be open to them. And I think because of that, we've found some really fun ways actually to keep ourselves sane and to keep ourselves fit. And we're kind of now able to build on that. So that's kind of been a positive part of this otherwise unfortunate situation, is there's creativity. As long as you can look around your room and think, okay, I never thought about the fact that I have space to do a lunge here. Or, we're both sitting on chairs because these chairs have become part of our exercise equipment, to support us. And they've been really, it's been really effective. Or even, people don't have weights at home. And we've been working out, some of our friends work out with frying pans because they don't have weights. But, but you can fill these babies up with water, and you've got yourself some hand weights.
That's right. So yeah, and that's a great idea. And what I did was I was a couple months ago doing some exercises outside in our courtyard, and I was just simply walking up and down some stairs.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing also that I wanted to touch upon is the fact that, like a dog, dogs like to have a schedule, and they really like to do the same thing every time. And your body wants to do the same thing as far as the schedule is concerned. So if we in the weight loss surgery community talk about habit anchors. So a habit anchor for us to take our vitamins is associating it with brushing your teeth every morning. So you brush your teeth, and right after you brush your teeth, you take your daily vitamins that you need to take as a weight loss surgery patient. And so making a habit anchor, like you've had your lunch, you're going to do your exercise after lunch, or you're going to do your exercise first thing in the morning and then take your shower, that you make it a habit, that you do it every day, so that you miss it. You start feeling like, oh God, I didn't work out today. I don't feel complete.
You have to schedule it. It is, and it is not an option. It's like, oh, I have to get out of bed every day. I have to brush my teeth. I have to, drink something. I have to eat something. These are have tos. Exercise is a have to. And it doesn't matter. Like Bryan said, it doesn't matter what you do. Maybe it's, maybe it's just like you're sitting down, and then, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to do that 20 times. Or I'm going to do it 10 times, or I'm going to do it 100 times. It doesn't matter. But in your calendar, on your phone or your computer, you're like, okay, from 1 to 1:30 every single day, exercise time. Yeah. And that's scheduled. And you can't talk yourself out of it. Because how many times have you said, oh, I'm going to do that tomorrow, and then you talk yourself out of it?
That's right. And here you're talking, as far as the weight loss surgery community is concerned, you're talking to people that have been massively overweight for years. And they have a very sedentary lifestyle and have never had exercise as a part of their life. So to retrain a person to adopt a new habit in their life, like exercise. And of course, what I also want to mention is that a lot of people from the weight loss surgery, the real morbid obese people, have a lot of physical disabilities even after they've lost 100 or 200 pounds.
Yeah. So there's always going to be, so we've worked with so many bodies over the years. You know, we've worked with our own bodies, and that's usually where our stories come from about bodies. It comes from us first, right? But we've worked with so many different bodies, different ages, different levels of mobility, vastly different fitness levels.
People have been in car accidents and you know, and terrible, like, well, surgeries or terrible circumstances. You name it, we've seen it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And part of the interesting thing about starting that dialogue with your own body, and I think as someone who, you know, lost weight and didn't realize how capable physically I was, because I was holding, you know, there were so many reasons that I didn't engage with my body. So we're all on this journey in a different way. And I haven't yet to find any person that is not able to work with what they have. You know?
Yeah, no matter what your circumstance, you can do something.
You can do something, and you can find a way to enjoy it. You talked about music, though, you know, having that behavior anchor, is that what you called it, Wendy?
No, habit anchor.
Habit anchor. So I think, you know, having part of your, you know, you enjoy a certain type of music, that becomes part of your habit. You don't stray from it, you go back to it because you know you're connected to it. So, and I really understand what you're referring to in terms of habits. I have to exercise. I have to exercise because, and if I don't, just like you've said, now that I've developed that habit, the results are very negative for me if I don't maintain it. So
yeah, because we've had a few bad days. Yesterday was really windy, but I was dying to get on my bike, which is like, what? I used to weigh 450 pounds just 2 years ago. Yeah. And I couldn't imagine myself riding a bike again. Yeah. And of course, you guys know that I lived in Amsterdam for 20 years and I was riding my bike all the time. So I associate, you know, getting around the city with the bike, but also you get to do, you know, you just feel really good afterwards. But it's just that habitual anchor, habit anchor of associating feeling better and going outside. And as you know, here in Canada, we have such a short spring and summer that once it becomes December again, and hopefully we're out of our COVID quarantine, but then the real challenge comes because you have to take the biking inside, or you have to find another way to, instead of your daily walks and it's -30 and snowing outside, what are you going to do inside?
And I'll also say that this whole COVID thing's been really interesting because not only do we go to the gym a lot, but we're also just very active. We're always walking everywhere, and if there's stairs or an escalator, we'll take the stairs. Like, we're always just doing activity a lot. And then as soon as the COVID thing happened and all the gyms were closed, and we started working from home, we stopped doing all those little activities. And then I was like, my lower back is hurting. Like, am I just getting old, or what's going on? And Brian was like, yeah, his lower back is hurting too. And then, you know, we wouldn't work out very much. And then as soon as you stop moving, you want to move even less. Yeah. And the desire to move slowly goes away. So then we started scheduling these boot camps every day, that not only do we schedule them, but we schedule them with other people. So we're accountable. Yeah. So that there's no choice. We've got to do it. Even when we don't want to do it, we have to do it. And then as soon as we started doing that every single day, even just an hour a day, even though we're not doing all these other activities, I'm like, wow, I'm more mobile. I feel better. Yeah, I want to eat a little better. And my lower back pain went away. Is your back pain okay?
My back pain's okay, and I think the part of the isolation is that self-soothing through eating has also become a part of my space. I'm not busy enough, you know, and I'll easily keep myself busy with a bag of potato chips and 3 dinners. Like I you know, so and because I have the type of body that can accommodate that much food, Like that's just the way I'm designed. So I've noticed that self-soothing is coming back. It's a louder voice, and I need to interrupt that voice with something else. And I think scheduling things has helped. Knowing I'm going to do something. Also, I'm working too much, so I don't know how everybody deals with their, their habits. But there's also other things to occupy your time other than eating. But I'll do that. Working more. But I do need to spend more time as making sure I address my body, and the low back thing is one of those issues. The other is neck issues, like sitting on the couch like this on like Netflix posture has become very like really a part of our day. Like that's here, snack here, and
crumbs.
Well, the thing is that the Netflix posture, but also the working from home posture. Like I just bought a new office chair because I've been sitting on my dining room chair now, and I work at the call center for the Canadian Opera Company, and I just upped my hours to 6 hours a day instead of 4 hours a day. So I am going to have some major sitting issues. And what's happened for a lot of people that lost massive amounts of weight is that you lose the weight in your butt. So I have no glutes. I have the flat ass syndrome. And so there's times when I can feel my tailbone because there's no more muscle or fat in my bum. And flat ass syndrome. And for sure, you're wiggling around. You have all sorts of things. Like I bought this cushion, this special cushion that I sit on that helps with relief of the tailbone pain syndrome. So I've been playing my horn, as you guys know. So you're sitting when you play your horn, and you're sitting when you're working from home remotely for your office. And so maybe you can give a little small demonstrations for people that are working and sitting for 6 hours a day behind their computers, or me about 3 hours a day watching TV like Netflix and series and things like that.
All right. Well, I mean, I am a very responsible fitness instructor, in the way that I never assume one thing is going to be enough, because your body needs different things. So if we're talking just about reinforcing the glutes, for example, we also need to think about stretching out the hip flexors and stuff. But anyway, in preparation for our call today, there's no way we're going to through this. I actually
well, we can set up a second call next week or the week after. Like I'm planning to do these Zoom meetings every Sunday at 1 p.m. I think that a lot of people haven't joined in the Zoom meeting today, like I mentioned, because of the big central weight loss surgery conference. So people are on that, or they're outside walking. So go ahead.
And why not? I mean, but basically your body needs a number of things. And what it probably needs first, especially from sitting, is circulation. So it needs circulation here often. And also we tend to move this way when we're carrying extra weight, which is like my posture is still sort of there after I lost weight. Oh God, it's been over 20 years, but it's still there because it's part of my neuropaths, right? So we need to create circulation. So I think one of the first things you would do is get up out of your chair and walk. You would walk. You might move your arms up and down. You would go side to side, and how much space you have. I would say, depending on where you are with your journey too, maybe you walk back and forth 5 times, maybe you walk back and forth 10 times. And then quite simply, you support something easy like a heel raise. So I've got my fingertips on the back of the chair. I call them fingertip heel raises because I don't want you to lean on the chair. I want you to put your fingertips on, and you just do simply 10 of these. You pick up your heels. You pick up your heels, and you start to activate the muscles in the backs of your legs. That's it. Now you can immediately feel there's something going on up the back of my body now. Something's happening back there. There's energy moving that way. And then you might walk back and forth again.
With purpose.
Yeah.
Always walking with purpose.
Yeah.
Not just sort of like, lifting a leg and then letting it fall forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I'm saying?
When you're alone, it doesn't feel as silly. but your body doesn't care. You gotta bring some energy into this part of your body. So you can even carry things if you get more out of it. If you carry weights, then you can get a little more actual resistance. But I don't think you need it because this all moves on to other stuff. So do that 5 times in between, 10 of these. Okay, so walk, 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 10 of these.
All right,
Walk.
so I'm going to adjust my camera here. I'm going to get up myself as well. So I'm going to be the guinea pig because I think it'd be a good idea to demonstrate it with everybody.
Sure.
Let's see if I can get this far enough away here. Get my camera a little bit further back.
And you put your tunes on too, Wendy.
Oh yeah, we could. I'll put it.
Not today, but
then
when you are doing.
Yeah, when you're doing it, yes, yes. All right, so let's see if I can get far enough back. And I have my chair. All right.
So we want to create circulation first by walking. We'll just skip that. It's like when you take something out of the oven on a cooking show and it's already cooked. We'll get there. Okay, you walk to create circulation. Then quite simply, see, I'm trying to lift my heels. It's a lot for my calves, and then I put them down.
Okay, let me just switch the view here on the. There we go. Now we can see. Everybody can see, and everybody can participate if they want to do it. Veronica as well, if she wants to do it together with us. But as you can see with my stance, and I'll stand sideways, do you see how much my back is hunched?
Yes.
So I used to carry the 450 pounds right here at the front, and I have this permanent curvature in my back from the weight loss. And and so when I'm stretching back, I feel muscles in the back of my legs doing this, and it hurts.
Yeah.
On my bum and the backs of my calves and the backs of my thighs.
Mm-hmm. So there's a whole different story that we can talk about it when we're talking about recovery pain at some point from exercise, and there is a certain amount of discomfort that comes with moving your body in a new way. So there's a difference between injury and recovery pain. And that's not to try to address the issues you're feeling pain here, but the hope from doing something simple, which we're going to get into something a little bit more from this, is that you will feel different sensation there. And see how you're coming forward. What if you just went straight up? Would that be a little different, right? And it's a fingertip on the chair. If you can get away.
Fingertip. Okay, fingertip.
Because then you're actually not using your arms as much. You've just got your fingertips there to try to keep yourself balanced, okay? So we do that and then we walk. And we walk to create circulation again. Yeah. So it starts to change.
I already feel my muscles in the back of my thighs.
There you go, right?
Just from doing that.
Right. So if you do that up to like an interval, you do 2 little walks, 10 heel raises, 2 little walks, 10 heel raises. Suddenly you've done 50 heel raises, right?
Yep.
Walk in between. And thinking about it, even though like whenever our hands are doing something forward, automatically your shoulders do this.
Yeah, that's right.
Automatically. Oh, yeah. I'm focused.
Yeah. We talked about that, Rob, in the gym. Remember that I tried to do these shoulder exercises to get my shoulders back.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would think about through all of these exercises, and I don't care if you've had weight loss surgery. I don't care what size you are, I don't care how fit you are. Everybody needs to improve their relationship with the back of their body.
It's absolutely.
So when I'm doing this, it's like, okay, well, what's the back of my body doing? Hunched over? I'm gonna roll my shoulders up, back, and down, and keep my chest up. And what are my glutes doing? Oh, I could squeeze my glutes. Oh, what's my lower back doing? Is it lengthening or is it rounding because I'm thinking about everything here? Always thinking about the back of your body.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like half work is something that's like, oh yeah, my neural pathways are strengthening along the back of my body. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm gonna let Bryan continue to do his thing.
So I'll just give you a little more of a taste of where we're going with this. So I like to layer exercise. So what that means is we start with something that's, we're gonna feel it. Then we layer something on, we're gonna feel a little more. We're going to feel it a little more. And the result is we get to that recovery place where when the muscles recover, they pull us back into better alignment. Because that's really what exercise is trying to do. It's not the activity itself. You talked about burning calories, Wendy. that's one thing that people look to exercise for. But what we really are trying to do is create new neural paths and new muscles, awareness in the muscles to support our skeleton.
Yes.
No, that's what we want. That happens in recovery. That happens in the recovery period. So anyway, the next thing we might move on to is, and I call these fingertip squats, because again, I'm not leaning into this chair. I'm putting my fingertips on the chair just in case I need it. And it's a tiny little squat. I'm bending my knees, pushing my butt back, and then standing up. That's it. And on the way up, guess what? I'm squeezing that non-existent butt that's actually there for everybody. I'm squeezing that butt to come up, and I'm really pushing through my heels. Yeah. So some people say this is almost like you're going to sit into a chair. I feel like it's more like if you're going to push your bum against a button that's on the wall because your hands are full of groceries.
For groceries, you leave your car, you want to close your car door.
Yeah. No, this, and Robbie, do you want to talk about the back here? Because this is a choice. I can choose to squeeze my muscles to come up to standing, or I can just go, you know, this is not really what we're doing. So we
can always sort of go through the motions whenever we're doing something like exercise, but the difference between exercising and not improving and exercising and improving is all up here. It's all with your mind. So you got to think about what your body's doing. Like, yeah, I can stand up, but I can also think about push my heels down, push my heels into the floor, almost feel like I'm pulling with my feet, with my body forward, and that's going to activate my hamstrings and my glutes and my back, bringing my chest up. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a big difference between just going through that motion and actually engaging that mind-muscle connection to bring yourself up.
And it probably helps you in the bedroom at night too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So keeping in mind
with that hip thrust.
That hip thrust, that's right. Happy Pride.
You got it.
One of the great things to have someone guide you to is I intuitively want to do this, but I'm actually putting my weight in my heels and pushing back and standing up. So the only reason my chest is moving forward is because my crease in my hips is moving back. So I'm not leaning forward for the sake of it. My legs are working. And I'm telling you, I haven't actually worked out today. I'm already feeling my butt. Just for
I'm feeling it as well.
Yeah, simple stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll just give you one more taste of where this goes on to. So as you get comfortable, and I don't know if I've given myself enough room today, now we've got a support for our hands here. We're getting used to working with our chair. My feet are directly under my hips. See how long my back is here? I still got that nice open chest. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Maybe if I have room, we do a leg extension. Oh, that's tough. But you know what? You'll get used to doing it because it's reinforcing the same muscle group. I'm feeling it more here, right? So over time, you give yourself more of a range of motion as you progress.
And yeah, because that can be very small too. It can be just like here and just holding on and just lifting.
Yeah.
And lifting. And you can alternate and you can repeat.
And you can see what he's training. Rob's a great example. Rob's great for demoing many things actually, but you can see his glutes are working.
Yes.
That extension.
The core, the core active, so I'm not hunched forward. And so this strengthens the back body. It also lengthens through the hip flexors here, which tend to get very short and affect our posture from the foot up through the head. This whole section can affect everything in your body. So we really want to focus on lengthening through that and strengthening the back. So this is really good. I also recommend doing this. This is standing plank. So what these are variations of standing plank. So this is a leg lift plank. We also do this on our hands and toes on the floor. But I also really like the bird dog standing plank. So you take one leg back, take that opposite arm up, and
he's working this line. It's a diagonal line of muscle from the shoulder blade to the opposite glute.
And there are some people that have shoulder issues and can't lift their arm up, so they lift their arm side. And that's open up the chest, because with our posture, our chest gets tighter and our back gets weaker and looser. So we've got to strengthen the back and open the front. So it's not just here, it's also the shoulder girdle. So you open and open. So this is really, really important for everybody to do, but especially those who are used to sitting a lot.
So I would say that's our sort of series A of movement, where we get up out of our chair, we create circulation here, we reinforce the strength of the glutes. The glutes are part of the back. We reinforce the strength in the shoulders and the upper back. This is all one line of energy as far as your body's concerned. We compartmentalize it because that's what Western society has done. But this is all one thing. This is a network of muscles. So we find that again. And then we move on to, there's several different pieces in the series where you might get into, you know, a supported plank with your hands on a chair, for example. Now we're pulling the shoulder blades together. You can keep your feet further forward until you feel comfortable and then progress back. And you're really just pushing down with your hands. And we do a supported toe tap to bring that circulation back into the body. So every time you do something sustained, you circulate again.
Circulate,
yeah.
Circulate, circulate.
And it moves on and moves on. Yep. And then eventually we get through to what we're calling.
And you can do a few sets of those things, you know, 3 to 5 sets.
We're thinking of that layering process again. And then eventually we get to a place where we've actually got some resistance. If you want to grab me the.
Yeah, so working out from your chair is.
So you stand up, you row, you curl, you press.
Yeah. You should go back a bit in your room so your arms are being cut off because of the camera distance.
We've got our beautiful new coffee table here. So.
Oh yeah, nice.
I don't want to damage that.
Okay.
No. All right.
So
there we go.
I always like to think about what's most. So I think of this as a heel first compound exercise. The reason my heels are the most important part of this compound exercise because they're pushing down, even though I'm doing tons of other fancy stuff. Okay, so I stand, I row, I curl, I press. Then I sit again.
And you know what? I have my weights set up beside my couch. Yeah. So I do something similar when I'm watching Netflix, when I'm streaming, binge watching. I'm actually every time, or I'm watching TV is a good way to do it too, is that every time a commercial comes on, you do this exercise with your weights. And you just have them beside you on the couch. And that's what I've been doing, been trying to, because I'm trying to loosen up the shoulders, but I'm also trying to get up more often from the couch. And the couch, of course, is lower. So that's also good. And you're getting up, using the weights and standing up and holding them above. Oh gosh, look at my weight loss wings. The flying one, the flying nun.
Be proud.
I'm
proud of my wings. That's right.
So what you just mentioned, Wendy, about building that, so the trapezius muscles. So I'm not sure how much dialogue you've had on your show about these muscles and what they mean, but usually these muscles, they collect anxiety. They're good for that. And they also kick in because the other muscles around the shoulders are not as smart. These are our smartest muscles for some reason. They just want to fire. So to get a range of motion, it's actually a combination of strengthening of other supporting muscles. So when we're talking about this stuff, this is a row. I want to engage my upper back muscles. I keep my upper back muscles engaged here when I do a bicep curl, even though it seems like a bicep curl might be for my biceps, my upper back is still engaged. My upper back is still engaged when I do a shoulder press. So I've never lost that awareness.
As opposed to, hiking the shoulders up and making this all about traps, or like, oh, I'm doing a bicep curl like this. It's got to be, oh, a bicep curl with the backs of my shoulders engaged, so to keep my posture.
This is all a dialogue, and actually, I've been really, I feel very impacted by my yoga training and being a yoga teacher, which is about dialogue. It's about dialogue with your anatomy. So to me, I'm very good at finding mindful movement. It feels mindful to me to go for a walk. It feels mindful also to snack. I do some of my best meditation when I'm eating potato chips. You know, I'm in that beautiful meditative zone.
You can zone everything out.
So the idea of mindful movement, you can apply it to anything.
Yeah.
And you can definitely apply it to your own anatomy, which makes it it becomes more interesting to me to do.
And also to change it up a bit, because that's the one thing that I've noticed after a 15K bike ride is that I have a huge amount of tension in my shoulders, because you're in the same position with your arms and your shoulders and your back for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And so, like, even though when I'm biking, I'm sitting in an upright position, which is typically for a Dutch bike. But you have a lot of these people that ride 10 speeds and things like that, and they're completely hunched over. Yeah. And so obviously to combine something like my bike riding, I probably will have to do more training on my upper body to get my back straighter and to get my shoulders down, and to continue on with that tension that I have in the shoulder area.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that is the thing, not just with you, but with every cyclist. And so people who enjoy cycling and are doing the things that you are doing, that's going to reinforce the sitting issues. Yeah. It's going to tighten the hip flexors. It's going to pull your shoulders forward, and it's going to affect your posture. So it's just something like, oh, okay, I did this, so now I have to do this. I did A, I have to do B. I have to open the hip flexors, I have to strengthen the back, I have to open the chest, and then, I can go back to cycling, and I can go back to this, and then still do all the other things I have to do during the day with a healthy posture and great core awareness and reducing the risk of injury.
That's right. And so we've covered what sort of exercises you can do indoors with a chair and things like that, with the music, finding a type of exercise that you want to do on a daily basis that's fun and that you see progress, because I'm a very goal-oriented person, and a lot of people in the weight loss surgery have become goal-oriented, and their goals are to see the numbers go down on their scales. Yeah. So how can we, who are covered in all sorts of loose skin, see or feel that we are accomplishing a goal?
I'll say something before, Brian. I've had many people in my life, I'm going to put this here so people can see us a little bit better. I've had many people in my life, ask me about weight loss, about achieving, a certain number on the scale. And there's so much anxiety about that number on the scale. I'm not, decrying anybody's, number goal for that. I'm just going to say this. I've got friends of all different sizes and fitness levels. The ones who don't weigh themselves are the ones who feel less anxious about it. Like Brian is a great example of that. He has no idea how much he weighs. I've never seen him weigh himself once, except maybe once 8 years ago at the gym. And I have another friend. She's one of my best friends. She's extremely fit. She's one of the fittest people I know, and she has never weighed herself. She has no idea how much she weighs, and she has no anxiety about it.
It is probably something that's more common in the weight loss surgery community if you're like 3 or 4 or 5 years out, because in the first 2 years, you are so focused on that scale, because the whole point of having the weight loss surgery is to lose this morbid obese weight that you had. And that once you sort of, I'm slowly getting less and less to weighing myself every day. I'm trying to do it maybe every other day, just to make sure you don't have a regain, because that's the biggest fear of any weight loss surgery patient is regain.
Yeah. So I completely understand from my own experience this journey. I lost a lot of weight when I initially lost weight. I didn't do it in a healthy way. And I was at a younger age where vanity was much more important to me then than it is now. But when I lost weight, I ended up with, curtains of skin around my abdomen that the clothes I was buying, it would actually like hang over my clothing. And I remember, not being able to shop, and then suddenly being able to shop. And I was crying in the parking lot, because I fit into clothing that was, I went from a size 44 waist to a 31. and that skin did not come back. And it still really hasn't. So for me, I've had to identify, and it's been a bit about movement, not fitness. I had to figure out what my triggers were and what was going to keep me moving. Because as soon as my relationship with my body became about, if it became too much about the number, my expectations for my own body, I couldn't line them up. I learned that I wasn't going to physically look the way I had hoped from my weight loss. And
Right.
That's a different journey. That's a different journey. There's health and there's movement and there's fitness. And then there's this self-acceptance, or, you know, holding your own hand on your journey, knowing not how to trigger yourself. And I think that happens over time. You said 4 or 5 years for some people. I don't weigh myself anymore because it triggers me. If I feel like I need to lose weight, and I've lost too much weight, I was also underweight. So I went bing, like I was anorexic. So on this journey, and I wish it was easier. I've always wished it was. It never has been. It's not one thing, it's many things.
Yeah.
You know, so
it is a lifelong journey, and then not so much a lifelong struggle, but it is the new way of life.
Yeah.
So just in the last 10 minutes of this, we're coming up to 50 minutes now. Are there any questions from Kathy, Veronica, or Marion that they would like to ask Rob and Bryan about some exercises they may want to do, or some issues that they have, or some suggestions? Yeah, Veronica, go ahead, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi. My concern is my balance, and I guess it's the point of gravity that's been changing with weight loss. I'm only 6 months post-op, and I've lost close to 100 pounds since, you know, the liquid diet that they give you before. And so if I drop to the floor, I can't get up. And the first exercise you showed about the heels, that can be very painful to me.
Yes.
Bike riding, Wendy, I'm afraid to fall because I haven't ridden my bike for, I don't know, 20 years. So I wonder if my point of gravity has changed. So I'm afraid to get on my bike, which would be ideal for me because my pannus is dropping all the way to my knees. So walking is quite uncomfortable at this point, right? So bike riding would be a good exercise.
Well, if we go back to your first question for Rob and Bryan about your center of balance, the balance in your body's changing.
Sure.
So yes, no, just so exercises that, like the chair seems ideal to me. Chair exercises.
Yeah, I would say it is, and is it Veronica? Veronica, your balance. So there's a few things happening for you. Your center of balance is probably changing, but your relationship with your body is changing too. So where have you explored your balance in the past? You know, other than things like walking and stuff, have you seen or sort of assessed your balance in other ways? So that's one thing for you to think about. And when you're walking, is it impacting the way you feel when you walk? So
yes, I used to waddle. Now I can walk a little bit straighter. So my posture has definitely changed.
So this is one of the things about our bodies and our journeys being so specific and subjective. If I were you, I would focus on balance during walking. I would make that my first goal in exercise. And then what I would do is I would take all those little things we just talked about. Sure, you can use the chair to reinforce those muscles. All those things we just looked at, those are all to reinforce balance and alignment of the spine, essentially. But maybe for you, it's just holding some sort of weight, additional weight in your hands and thinking about your posture. which you don't need a lot of guidance on. You'll know if you're slouching, you know? Try to stand up straight and try to just walk and see how it feels and practice there. And then, because I also think if you're afraid of getting on a bike, which Wendy's going to talk about the bike, you got to listen to yourself too, you know? Like these are steps leading towards something that's more optimal for you, but I would be smart and safe to start off.
Be very, very safe. And
Yeah.
and what's funny about you know, it's like riding a bike. Riding a bike is not like riding a bike. It's like our bodies have a big learning curve.
Yeah.
And you know, I see people who, you know, they were fit up until they were 20, and then they stopped working out, and then they come to us when they're 35, and they just don't have a clue how to move anymore. And it sometimes takes people years, literally years, to neuromuscularly find a body part. Like if I say engage your lats, 90% of people won't be able to do it.
Yeah.
For balance, it can take years. Like, so I just want to tell you, Veronica, be so patient. Be so patient. Be so easy on yourself. Do like this walking kind of thing. Use weights. Use one weight in one hand and walk. Because the best way to train balance is to be out of balance.
Yeah.
You'll be out of balance all the time, but sometimes to train that. And you know, in 6 months post-op, that's a blink of an eye, you know, in terms of what your body got used to. And so it's going to take a long time for your body to get used to your new normal. So doing these little things and then doing them more and more and more and more, you know, maybe you might ride a bike in a year from now. But that's not going to be your goal tomorrow. It's going to be tiny steps. This whole thing is a journey, but the next 24 hours is a journey.
Yeah.
So,
well, what happened with me with riding a bike, I started riding a bike a year ago and I fell off, not 10 minutes on the bike. The first intersection I stopped at, the light was red. I lost my balance and over I went onto the ground. And that was no fun. But that was before my hip replacement surgery, because I had a bad hip. But I didn't feel confident, but I got up and I thought, no, Wendy, you're going to keep on doing this. And I rode all the way home up Sherburne Street, which is about 2 kilometers north uphill. And I was very proud of myself. But a year later, now that I have a new hip and I'm only 10 pounds lighter, but I have gained more confidence on the bike. And I build it up very slowly. So I didn't bike for 14 kilometers the first time. I only biked for 1 or 2 kilometers the first time. And also a good friend of mine, she has balance issues, and she went to the store and bought a tricycle, an adult tricycle. So she's determined to ride a bike, and she's tried, and she feels unsafe because there might be some equilibrium issue in her ears that are affecting her balance. So she went and bought a tricycle, for an adult tricycle. So there are ways around trying to find the perfect exercise that makes you feel fun and you want to do all the time. Marion has a question now.
Well, because of my psoriatic arthritis and the fibro, I find it difficult. I'm finding it difficult even walking now without having to use the cane. I was wondering whether or not I've been seeing these tabletop, well, you can use it with your feet too. Like it's the motion of the bike, but you're in a chair when you're doing it. And then you can use it on the tabletop for your arms. If that's worthwhile purchasing something like that to get started. Because I'm very limited in the length I can walk right now with
yeah. So and Marion, I don't know how much of the little demo that you saw.
No, I was late. I apologize. I just got in.
Yeah. So this is just general advice for exercise equipment. There are things in your home, in your space right now, that will give you an opportunity to get some sort of cardio output using your arms while seated. So to me, you know, I'm using these little Tide things. If you were to sit up and just do simple bicep curls or something, or move your arms in this motion without not to say you shouldn't get a stationary bike, but I would experiment for yourself and see what you're getting from it. And
these aren't a full stationary bike. These are only a small one that sits on the floor that you can just pedal while you're sitting.
Right.
It's not like a full stationary. And I was wondering if that would help, where I could sit and still get the motion in.
Well, Marion, what is your issue with walking?
Well, I've got psoriatic arthritis, which has swollen all of my joints, and I have fibro and osteo. So sometimes I can walk, but then the problem is turning back and walking all the way back again when I don't go out without using the cane because I've fallen 3 times in the last year.
And what your doctor said?
Try to do what I can, but the problem being is I can be walking fine 1 second and my ankle will give out and I'll go down.
Right.
So, I was great last summer I walked my grandson in a stroller. So I had something to hang on to, and we were doing long distances at that point because I had something to hang on to like that.
Yeah, Marion, I just wanted to mention before Rob answers, our huge help for me when I had such a huge issue with my hip was a walker, and a walker that has a seat. So you can go outside, you have something to lean on, and if you're tired or you feel it's going to give out, you can sit on the seat and take a break. Because I was determined to walk as well when I was, to try to keep more, set a goal for myself that I walk 1 block and walk 1 block back. But at the time, because I had such a sore hip from my arthritic hip that was bone on bone before my surgery, I had a walker. And the walker really helped with stabilizing me, but also when I was tired, I had a place to sit.
I'm almost at the point now I'm going to throw the dog in the stroller and strap her in and walk with her in the stroller.
Yeah, you can do that. Put the dog in the basket in the front of the walker.
Yeah, absolutely. And that the walker that you can actually sit down onto as well is it's not only there for safety, but it's also there, for your peace of mind, so that the idea of walking doesn't become about fear, which will also hold you back. So I would recommend. So yes, you can get a stationary. You can get the stationary bike. For the times that you can't or don't want to go out, but whenever you can, go out. It's that kind of functional movement that is going to help you get better, and it's going to help with fibromyalgia and arthritis. These things that are really trying to hold you back are exactly the things often that people need to improve or help to manage their symptoms.
Yeah, that's a question I want to ask. I have osteoarthritis in my back, and my spine is decompressing. And I saw a picture, an X-ray. If you're doing strenuous exercise and you have something like a bum hip, which I had a year ago, and it's bone on bone, are you actually doing more damage to the arthritic bone area?
It all depends on what you're doing and what you define as strenuous for yourself. For sure, you wouldn't be lifting heavy. You wouldn't be probably doing any sort of heavy deadlifts, lifting things up, nothing that puts pressure on your spine, but you should absolutely be working the muscles around your spine. And that comes down to your own neuromuscular awareness and your relationship with your body to know the difference, and working with somebody one-on-one, ideally, to help you know the difference between the two.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier about recovery pain versus injury. So after we we learn what recovery pain feels like. And when we're strengthening joints and we're doing it effectively, you do get recovery pain. It's a muscular pain typically. You learn through time what that recovery pain is versus injury. And I don't think there's another way to do it. But overall, strengthening your joints through proper muscle conditioning is almost always a positive thing to do.
And so, Marion, I don't know if you can, I know this is on Facebook Live as well. If you can go back and watch Brian.
Yeah, I will.
We both did a little demonstrating of simple chair exercises and simple standing things that can at least, improve the posture and get the body moving. So that if you schedule that every single day, that will help you also towards your goals.
It'll have an impact.
It really will.
It will.
Yeah, I will go back and look.
Yeah, because that's the one thing we talked about, Marion, earlier is to make exercise a part of your daily routine, to make it habitual, that you do it every day, and that you do see, for me, what I started 67 days ago was to pick up my French horn that was in a case for years. And I 67 days ago, I couldn't play for 10 minutes, and now I can play for 2 hours.
Wow.
And that's purely because of muscle development here. So if you imagine, if you're working on your whole body every day, like now, when I'm biking, at first I could only bike for 10 minutes, and now I can bike for 2 hours. And so it's just doing something every day. I wanted to ask if Kathy has a question, because Kathy's not from the weight loss surgery community, but she's a very active athlete, and she canoes and she bikes. Do you have any questions, Kathy? You can unmute yourself.
Fine.
Yeah, you
No,
got it.
I don't, but I really feel for anybody who can't get out and bike and paddle and walk, and I think it's just continually doing a little bit of everything every day and not being stopped by the pain. You just take something for pain, you get moving, and it's important just for quality of life, quality of the brain, quality of activities, it's just quality of life.
Yeah, you're getting up towards 70, and you are constantly you dog sled. You Kathy's a horn player, so Kathy and I are great friends, and she's a great stimulants for me as well, and a great role model as well, to show you that it doesn't matter what age you are. You know, I'm a 60-year-old woman riding her bike, and it is something that I see myself on the street when I'm seeing elderly people and they're hunched over and they're walking like this, you know, and I'm thinking, I don't want to be that 70 or 80-year-old woman. I want to have a proper posture. I want to be able to walk when I'm 80 years old and not be sitting in a chair in some retirement home. And that is a huge issue that I see much more here in Canada than I saw when I lived in Amsterdam for 20 years.
Right.
There are 80-year-old women riding their bikes in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I just came back from a fabulous kayaking off my dock. I've got a great island, Cedar Island, went out around that with my daughter. It's just fabulous.
Yeah. So Rob and Bryan, did you want to add anything more? Because we've been on now for an hour, and I really wanted to thank you both so much for joining us today in this fantastic Zoom meeting. And again, it's live on Facebook. I'll be reposting it. And also, if you can post, Rob or Bryan, underneath the live Zoom, a link to your page, and also how people can join in on your live Zoom exercise classes that you were talking about earlier.
Sure. Yeah, we will do that for sure. Thank you for having us. It's always a pleasure, Wendy, to see you, and it's a pleasure to meet you guys, Veronica, Marian, and Kathy. And let's keep in touch, and let's keep moving forward. Let's keep moving.
Thank you.
Yes.
Keep moving.
Keep moving is the key. It's a really a strong message for anybody, not even just everybody in general, to keep moving, especially during COVID-19, because that will help your mental health for sure.
And if you need a cane, use your cane. If you need a walker, use your walker, but move.
Yeah, that's a big message. Well, thanks again, and join us again next week, same time, same channel, Zoom. I'll figure out what we'll talk about next time and get another speaker, and hopefully maybe down the road, Rob or Bryan can join us again for another live Zoom meeting. And also to mention that Rob has also a book that's available on Amazon called Planks. And that it's for those that are advanced in doing planks, because we're on Facebook Live, that you can also check out his book, Rob Moore Planks, on Amazon. And just got to plug the book for you, Rob, so that you can perhaps get a few sales today on your book.
100 Planks is the title. 100
Planks, right.
Yeah. And there's lots of standing modifications in there as well. So it's for beginners to advanced.
Right.
Did you say anything else?
Oh, I just think it's lovely to connect with everyone. I think it's so exciting to have a dialogue with your body and to find your body, and I'm excited for everyone on this journey. You will surprise yourself with what you're capable of doing, and I'm really happy for you.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again, everybody. And thanks again for joining us here at Finding Wendy on our live Zoom meeting. Have a great Sunday. And I would say I'm going to pledge to you, and why don't you all pledge to me, that we're going to close our computers, turn off our phones, and go on outside.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.